Jake Morrison adjusted his formal diplomatic jacket one last time as the shuttle approached Kepler Station. The massive structure filled the viewport, a gleaming monument of alien engineering that stretched for kilometers in every direction. Hundreds of docking bays dotted its surface like windows on a skyscraper, each one hosting vessels from dozens of different worlds. The station orbited the gas giant Arcturus Prime, its rings casting rainbow shadows across the hull. Admiral Lisa Carter sat across from him, her military uniform crisp, and her expression calm. She had commanded 3 different star destroyers before accepting this diplomatic assignment, but today she looked nervous. Chief Scientist Ben Taylor hunched over his tablet, making final adjustments to their presentation data. Trade Representative Amy Hudson stared out the window at the alien ships surrounding them, her briefcase secured tightly in her lap. 3 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the Galactic Council. 3 years of probationary membership, careful negotiations, and constant evaluation. Today would determine if Earth earned full recognition as a galactic civilization or remained a junior partner forever. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump.
Alien crew members in environmental suits guided them through the airlock into Kepler Station proper.
The air tasted different here, processed through systems designed for a dozen different species. The gravity felt slightly heavier than Earth normal, accommodating the preferences of the station's majority population. Corridors stretched in every direction, filled with beings Jake had only seen in diplomatic videos. Tall crystalline Zephyrians moved with musical grace, their bodies catching and reflecting light in patterns that served as their primary form of communication. Clusters of small, insect-like Kalari scurried past in perfect formation, their hive mind coordinating every movement. Ancient Elder Grove representatives walked slowly on root-like legs, their bark-covered skin marking them as some of the oldest living beings in the galaxy. A guide approached them, one of the few humanoid species in the council. The Centaurian diplomat bowed slightly and spoke in accented but clear English. "Ambassador Morrison, welcome to Kepler Station. The council awaits your presentation in Chamber 7. Please follow me." They walked through the station's main thoroughfare, passing shops, restaurants, and meeting areas designed to accommodate the needs of hundreds of different species. Jake noticed how other beings stopped their conversations to stare at the human delegation. Some looked curious, others dismissive. A few seemed openly hostile. Chamber 7 was enormous, easily large enough to hold 10,000 beings. Tiered seating rose in concentric circles around a central speaking platform, with each section modified for different atmospheric and gravitational requirements. The human delegation found their assigned seats in a lower tier, marked with small Earth symbols. The chamber buzzed with activity as representatives from across the galaxy took their places. Jake recognized many species from his diplomatic briefings, but dozens remained unknown to him. The sheer diversity was overwhelming. Beings of pure energy flickered in specially designed containment fields. Aquatic species moved through water-filled viewing tubes. Gas-based life forms swirled in pressurized transparent spheres. At the center of it all sat the council podium, where Prime Veltar of the Hegemony would preside over today's session. The Hegemony controlled the largest territory in known space, and their approval carried enormous weight in council decisions. Veltar himself was an imposing figure, standing nearly 3 meters tall with 4 arms and skin that shifted between silver and gold depending on his mood. A harmonic chime filled the chamber, calling the session to order. Prime Veltar rose from his seat and activated the translation systems. When he spoke, his words reached every being present in their native language. "We gather today to address the continued status of newer species seeking full membership in our galactic community. Many civilizations have petitioned for recognition, but few demonstrate the wisdom and stability required for true partnership." His golden skin darkened slightly as he continued. "Some species show promise in certain areas while failing catastrophically in others. We have witnessed civilizations that master faster than light travel, while remaining incapable of controlling their violent impulses. Others develop impressive technology, while lacking the emotional maturity to use it responsibly." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The Prime's words seemed directed at humanity, though he had not yet named any specific species. Today we will hear from several probationary members regarding their fitness for full council recognition. We begin with the humans of Earth, who request expanded trade privileges. technology sharing agreements, and voting rights within this assembly. Prime Veltar's skin shifted to a deeper gold, and Jake recognized the color change as a sign of disapproval from his diplomatic training. The chamber fell silent as all attention focused on the human delegation. Jake stood and walked to the speaking platform, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. He activated his presentation display and began the speech he had rehearsed for months. Honored members of the Galactic Council, humanity comes before you today not as supplicants but as potential partners. In our brief time as probationary members, we have contributed to 17 major scientific breakthroughs, provided humanitarian aid to 6 different crisis zones, and established peaceful trade relationships with 43 member species. The holographic display showed images of human achievements: medical teams treating plague victims on Kepler-7, engineering crews helping rebuild damaged infrastructure on the Kalari homeworld, scientists working alongside alien researchers to solve complex problems. We offer the Council our unique perspectives on conflict resolution, our innovative approaches to resource management, and our proven ability to adapt quickly to new situations. Humanity seeks not just membership, but true partnership in building a better galaxy for all sapient life. Jake paused for effect, then activated the final portion of his presentation. Detailed proposals for new trade routes that would benefit dozens of species, technological innovations that could revolutionize interstellar travel, and diplomatic solutions to several ongoing territorial disputes. Before he could continue, Prime Veltar raised one of his 4 hands. The gesture commanded immediate silence throughout the chamber. Enough, the Prime said, his skin now a deep, angry gold. We have heard sufficient testimony from this species. Jake stared in confusion. Prime Veltar, I have not yet completed my presentation. The Council granted humanity a full 30-minute session to. The Council grants time to species worthy of consideration. Veltar interrupted. We see no evidence that humanity has progressed beyond its primitive origins. Your species remains driven by emotional instability and crude violence. You are barely evolved primates playing with technology you do not truly understand. The chamber erupted in sounds of agreement. Crystalline Zephyrians chimed in harmonious approval. Colliery clusters clicked and buzzed their support. Even some of the newer species Jake had hoped would sympathize with humanity's position seemed to nod along with the Prime's assessment. Furthermore, Veltar continued, humanity's proposal demonstrates the arrogance typical of younger species. You presume to offer solutions to problems that have existed since before your world developed complex life. Your innovations are merely crude adaptations of technologies we mastered millennia ago. Jake watched in horror as Prime Veltar reached for the central control panel. With a casual gesture, the alien leader deleted Jake's entire presentation from the Council's official records. 30 years of human research, months of careful preparation, and humanity's hopes for the future vanished in an instant. This session regarding human membership is concluded, Veltar announced. The species will remain on probationary status pending evidence of genuine advancement beyond their current primitive state. The chamber filled with alien conversations as beings began discussing the next item on the agenda. Jake stood frozen on the speaking platform, his mind struggling to process what had just occurred. 3 years of careful diplomacy destroyed in minutes, humanity's reputation possibly ruined forever. He looked back at his delegation. Admiral Carter's face showed barely controlled rage, her hands clenched into fists. Scientist Taylor stared at his now blank tablet in disbelief. Representative Hudson had closed her briefcase and sat perfectly still, her expression unreadable. Jake gathered his remaining materials with steady hands, though inside he felt humiliated and furious. He walked back to his delegation, and without speaking, all 4 humans stood and moved toward the chamber exit. No one tried to stop them. No alien voice called out in support or sympathy. At the threshold of Chamber 7, Jake paused and turned back to look at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy continued their discussions, having already forgotten about humanity's presence. Prime Veltar consulted with his advisors, planning the next presentation. Jake nodded once, not in submission or agreement, but in acknowledgement of what had transpired. Then he turned and walked out of the chamber, followed by his 3 companions. Their footsteps echoed in the corridor as they made their way back to their shuttle in complete silence. behind. Dr. Kriya of the Zephyrian Science Collective noticed the change first. For 2 years, her research partner Ben Taylor had sent weekly data packets containing human observations of quantum field fluctuations in the Orion Arm. The information had proven invaluable for her studies on faster-than-light particle behavior. Ben's insights often revealed patterns that her own crystalline mind had missed. The last packet arrived exactly 6 months after the council session at Kepler Station. After that, nothing. Kriya sent several polite inquiries through the standard diplomatic channels. No response came. She tried contacting other human scientists she had worked with over the years. Dr. Patricia Wells, who had helped solve the atmospheric processor crisis on Titan Colony. Commander Gary Phillips, whose engineering innovations had saved the Zephyrian mining station at Vega Prime. Professor Nancy Green, who had shared her breakthrough research on organic crystal growth. All of them had gone silent. At first, Kriya assumed the humans were simply busy with internal affairs. Young species often experienced periods of political upheaval that temporarily disrupted their external communications. But as weeks turned to months, her concern grew. She had genuinely enjoyed working with the humans, finding their perspective refreshingly different from the rigid thinking patterns common among older galactic civilizations. The Kalari Hive Queen experienced a similar mystery. Human merchant vessels had regularly traveled through Kalari space for 3 years, their captains always responding promptly to standard shipping frequencies and customs requirements. Captain Danny Rodriguez of the cargo ship New Horizon had become particularly reliable, delivering rare minerals from human mining operations to Kalari industrial worlds. The Kalari valued punctuality and consistency above all else. Human traders had proven remarkably dependable, arriving exactly when scheduled and delivering precisely what they promised. The Hive Queen had come to appreciate this reliability in a galaxy where many species considered time estimates to be mere suggestions. But now the human ships traveled through Kalari space without responding to any communication attempts. They maintained safe distances from Kalari vessels and avoided restricted systems, but they acted as if the Kalari did not exist. When Kalari customs officials attempted to board human ships for routine inspections, they found the vessels had vanished from their sensors despite being clearly visible moments before. The silence spread throughout the galaxy like a slow-moving plague. The Elder Grove matriarchs, who had maintained philosophical discussions with human thinkers for decades, found their regular communications terminated without explanation. The Centaurian Trade Federation discovered that human colonies no longer responded to business proposals, even highly profitable ones that would have interested them greatly in the past. Council Prime Veltar dismissed these reports when they reached his office. "The primitives are sulking," he declared during a private meeting with his advisors. "They will return when they need something from us." "Younger species always do." His chief advisor, an elderly hegemony diplomat named Sektar, expressed mild concern. "Perhaps we should attempt to re-establish communication." The humans did provide certain useful services during their probationary period. Useful? Veltar's skin shifted to an irritated orange color. They performed simple tasks that any competent species could handle. Their departure merely creates opportunities for more advanced civilizations to fill those roles. But filling those roles proved more difficult than expected. The exotic minerals that human mining operations had quietly supplied to alien shipyards became increasingly scarce. Several species had grown dependent on these materials without realizing it, assuming the steady supply would continue indefinitely. The Zephyrian crystal fabricators discovered they could no longer obtain the rare earth elements needed for their most advanced manufacturing processes. Human traders had been their primary source for these materials, mining them from asteroid belts that other species considered too dangerous or unprofitable to exploit. More troubling reports began filtering in from the galaxy's outer rim. Long-range sensors detected massive construction projects on worlds that galactic surveys had classified as uninhabitable. When investigation teams arrived at these locations, they found nothing but empty space and natural celestial bodies showing no signs of artificial modification. Captain Rex Murphy of the human exploration vessel, Deep Explorer, appeared briefly on Centaurian sensors near the Veil Nebula, but when their patrol ships moved to intercept, they found only cosmic dust and radiation. The Centaurians ran detailed sensor sweeps of the entire region, and detected no trace of human activity. Yet their initial readings had been absolutely clear. Admiral Lisa Carter made an even more dramatic appearance near the border of hegemony space. Long-range monitoring stations detected what appeared to be an entirely new class of human warship, sleek and angular with energy signatures unlike anything in their databases. The vessel moved with impossible grace, accelerating and maneuvering in ways that should have torn apart any known ship design. Hegemony military commanders dispatched 3 heavy cruisers to investigate. By the time they reached the coordinates, they found empty space. No debris, no energy trails, no evidence that any ship had ever been present. The investigation team's own sensor logs showed the mysterious vessel for exactly 17 minutes before it simply vanished from all detection methods simultaneously. The Elder Grove Council of Matriarchs grew increasingly worried. As some of the oldest living beings in the galaxy, they had witnessed the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations. They recognized patterns that younger species missed, and the current situation reminded them of historical events that had not ended well for anyone involved. Elder Gruthan, whose root system had witnessed over 2,000 years of galactic history, sent a carefully worded message to the Council. Beware the dangerous quiet of wounded apex predators. Silence often precedes storms of unprecedented fury. Most Council members dismissed this warning as typical Elder Grove mysticism. The tree-like beings were known for their cryptic pronouncements and philosophical observations that seemed profound but rarely provided practical guidance. However, some of the more perceptive species began to notice patterns in the human silence. The ships that traveled through their space moved with perfect coordination, as if following a single unified plan. Human colonies continued normal operations, but had clearly become completely self-sufficient, no longer requesting assistance or supplies from alien sources. Dr. Sarah Kim, a human xenobiologist who had worked closely with several alien research teams, was spotted on a remote scientific station at the galaxy's edge. When local authorities attempted to approach her, they discovered she was no longer alone. The station, previously home to only a few dozen researchers, now showed signs of supporting thousands of inhabitants. The facility itself had been completely transformed. What had once been a small observation post had become a sprawling complex of interconnected modules and advanced manufacturing facilities. When officials requested permission to inspect the station, their communications were received and logged but never answered. Trade Representative Amy Hudson established a pattern that confused many alien economists. Human colonies began refusing the most profitable trade agreements while accepting deals that seemed to benefit only the alien partners. Upon closer examination, analysts realized that humans were systematically acquiring specific types of knowledge and resources while avoiding anything that would create dependency on alien technology. Chief Engineer Paul Grant of the mining station, Titan's Rest, received dozens of messages from former alien colleagues, all requesting resumed shipments of rare minerals that had become critically important to their industries. Paul read each message carefully, filed them in his personal records, and continued his work on projects that none of his former partners could identify. The scope of human activity became clear when monitoring stations throughout the galaxy began detecting energy signatures consistent with massive industrial operations. These signatures appeared on worlds that galactic surveys had marked as uninhabitable, in systems that supposedly contained no intelligent life, and in regions of space that most species avoided due to natural hazards. The Kalari Hive Queen attempted to trace these energy signatures to their sources, but every investigation team she sent returned with no memory of their discoveries. The crews remained physically unharmed and mentally sound, but they had absolutely no recollection of what they had encountered during their missions. The galactic community slowly realized that humanity had not simply withdrawn from diplomatic contact. They had systematically severed every connection that could provide aliens with insight into human activities, capabilities, or intentions. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had effectively vanished while remaining clearly present throughout known space. Ben Taylor's research stations produced breakthrough discoveries at an accelerated pace, but these innovations no longer appeared in galactic scientific databases. Amy Hudson's trade networks facilitated enormous resource flows, but these transactions occurred entirely within human space. Lisa Carter's fleet movements suggested military preparations on a scale that defied comprehension. The first economic shockwaves hit the Zephyrian crystal markets exactly 1 year after humanity's silence began. For decades, the crystalline beings had dominated luxury goods production throughout the galaxy, their beautiful light sculptures and harmonic resonators commanding premium prices on hundreds of worlds. The Zephyrian manufacturing process required rare earth minerals that occurred naturally in only a few locations across known space. Most of these deposits were found in asteroid fields, too dangerous for conventional mining operations, surrounded by gravitational anomalies and radiation storms that destroyed normal equipment. Human mining crews had solved this problem with typical ingenuity, developing specialized extraction techniques that allowed them to harvest these materials safely and efficiently. For 3 years, human miners had supplied the Zephyrians with steady shipments of high-quality minerals at reasonable prices. Now those shipments had stopped completely. Master craftsman Velka watched his reserves dwindle with growing alarm. His workshop on the Zephyrian homeworld had produced some of the galaxy's most sought-after artistic creations. But without the human-supplied minerals, his advanced fabrication equipment sat idle. Other Zephyrian artisans faced the same crisis as stockpiles ran out across their civilization. The Zephyrians attempted to source these materials from other suppliers, but quickly discovered why humans had dominated this particular market. The Corellian Mining Consortium quoted prices 15 times higher than human rates, and their extraction methods produced minerals of significantly lower quality. The hegemony industrial complex could provide the materials, but their bureaucratic approval process would take 3 years to complete. Similar shortages appeared throughout galactic commerce. The Kalari discovered that their food processing systems depended on organic compounds that human agricultural worlds had been providing. These compounds occurred naturally on very few planets, and human terraforming experts had been the only ones capable of creating the precise environmental conditions needed to produce them artificially. Without these compounds, Kalari food production efficiency dropped by 60%. The hive mind faced the possibility of widespread hunger for the first time in centuries. Chief Engineer Paul Grant received increasingly desperate messages from his former alien colleagues. Dr. Kriya offered to triple the standard payment rates for mineral shipments. The Kalari Hive Queen sent formal diplomatic requests through multiple channels, promising favorable trade agreements and advanced technology transfers in exchange for resumed agricultural supplies. Paul read each message carefully, archived them in his personal files, and returned to his current project, overseeing the construction of humanity's largest industrial complex on the hidden world of New Sparta. The facility sprawled across an entire continent, its manufacturing capabilities exceeding anything that existed elsewhere in the galaxy. The scale of human construction projects became impossible to ignore when long-range sensors detected massive energy signatures appearing across dozens of previously empty star systems. These signatures indicated industrial operations of staggering size, powered by energy sources that alien scientists could not identify. The Centaurian Trade Federation dispatched investigation teams to determine what humans were building in these remote locations. The teams departed with great fanfare and detailed mission parameters, but returned weeks later with absolutely no memory of their discoveries. Medical examinations revealed no physical damage or mental manipulation, yet every crew member had complete amnesia regarding their time in human space. Dr. Patricia Wells appeared briefly on sensors near the Beta Centauri system, operating what appeared to be a massive research facility built into an asteroid. When Centaurian scouts moved to investigate, they found only natural celestial bodies with no signs of artificial modification. Yet their initial sensor readings had clearly shown structures that would have required decades to construct using known technology. The mystery deepened when alien intelligence services attempted to monitor human communications networks. For 3 years, human colonies had maintained regular contact with galactic communication grids, their messages traveling through standard relay stations and following established protocols. Now human communications had vanished from all monitored frequencies. Advanced alien listening posts detected no human transmissions whatsoever. Yet human ships continued to move with perfect coordination across thousands of light years. This suggested that humans had developed communication methods that alien technology could neither detect nor intercept. Commander Gary Phillips commanded the human engineering vessel New Foundation when it appeared near the Vega system, apparently conducting repairs on a damaged space station. Hegemony officials rushed to offer assistance, eager to re-establish contact with any human representative. By the time their ships arrived, they found a station in perfect condition with no signs that repair work had ever been necessary. More disturbing discoveries emerged as aliens attempted to understand the scope of human capabilities. Careful analysis of historical records revealed that humans had been far more advanced than anyone had realized during their probationary period. Technologies that aliens had dismissed as crude adaptations were actually elegant innovations that solved complex problems more efficiently than established methods. The humans had not been primitive newcomers learning from superior civilizations. They had been advanced beings choosing to appear modest and unassuming. Trade Representative Amy Hudson had established an economic network that spanned human space, creating supply chains and manufacturing systems that operated with unprecedented efficiency. Alien economists who studied captured fragments of human trade data realized that humanity had built a completely self-sufficient industrial base while maintaining the appearance of dependence on alien resources. The truth became clear when the Elder Grove matriarchs released their analysis of human behavior patterns. For 3 years, humanity had been systematically acquiring specific knowledge and resources while sharing their own innovations freely with alien species. The aliens had assumed this generous sharing indicated human inferiority and desperation for acceptance. In reality, humans had been studying galactic civilization, learning about alien technologies and social structures while carefully concealing their own capabilities. Every human scientist working alongside alien researchers had been gathering intelligence. Every human trader negotiating with alien merchants had been mapping economic dependencies. Every human diplomat attending galactic functions had been analyzing political relationships and power structures. Professor Nancy Green's breakthrough, research on organic crystal growth, had not been a lucky discovery by a primitive scientist. It had been part of a coordinated human effort to understand and surpass alien manufacturing techniques. Her willingness to share this knowledge freely had convinced aliens that humans lacked the sophistication to recognize its true value. The galactic community slowly realized that humanity had been conducting the largest intelligence-gathering operation in recorded history, and they had done it so skillfully that their targets had never suspected anything. Ben Taylor's quantum field research had advanced far beyond anything he had shared with his alien colleagues. His regular data exchanges with Dr. Kriya had provided him with detailed information about Zephyrian scientific methods while revealing only carefully selected portions of human discoveries. Now Kriya understood that her research partner had been learning from her while teaching her nothing of real significance. The scope of human deception became apparent when intelligence analysts realized that every human colony, every human ship, and every human individual had been part of this coordinated effort. There had been no accidental intelligence leaks, no rogue operators sharing classified information, no security breaches that revealed human capabilities to alien observers. An entire species had maintained perfect operational security for 3 years, while appearing completely open and transparent. Council member races began pointing fingers and assigning blame for the current crisis. The Zephyrians accused the Kalari of failing to maintain adequate intelligence networks. The Kalari blamed the hegemony for arrogant policies that had driven humanity away. Smaller species complained that the major powers had ignored their warnings about human capabilities. Prime Veltar convened emergency sessions to address the growing economic disruption, but found himself facing unprecedented challenges. The Galactic Council had been designed to manage relationships between civilizations that competed openly for resources and territory. They had no experience dealing with a species that had withdrawn completely while maintaining a dominant position in numerous critical industries. The hegemony attempted to locate human homeworlds and manufacturing centers using their most advanced surveillance networks. Scout ships penetrated deep into human space, following energy signatures and gravitational anomalies that might indicate major population centers. These ships returned with sensor logs showing thriving human colonies, massive industrial complexes, and defensive installations of unknown design. However, when follow-up expeditions arrived at the same coordinates, they found uninhabited worlds with no signs of intelligent life. Human space had been The asteroid hurtling toward the Kepler system measured nearly 50 kilometers across and carried enough mass to destroy all life on 3 inhabited planets. The Kalari detected it first, their automated early warning systems calculating impact trajectories with terrifying precision. The massive rock would strike the agricultural world of Kepler-3 in exactly 18 days, creating an extinction-level event that would kill billions of beings. Emergency alerts flooded through galactic communication networks as the scope of the disaster became clear. Kepler-3 housed the largest Kalari population center outside their homeworld, with over 2 billion citizens living in sprawling hive cities across the planet's surface. Kepler-5 supported a thriving Zephyrian artistic colony, where thousands of master craftsmen created works that were treasured throughout the galaxy. Even Kepler-7, primarily used for mining operations, contained settlements with millions of inhabitants from dozens of different species. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session within hours of the discovery. Representatives from across known space gathered in Chamber 7, the same room where humanity had been publicly humiliated 2 years earlier. Prime Veltar took his position at the central podium, his skin displaying the deep purple coloration that indicated extreme stress among his species. "We face a catastrophe unlike any in recorded galactic history," Veltar announced to the assembled delegates. "Our best calculations show that deflecting or destroying this asteroid requires capabilities that exceed anything currently available to Council member species." The chamber, filled with urgent discussions as various species proposed solutions. The hegemony suggested using their largest warships to blast the asteroid apart, but their weapons lacked sufficient power to fragment something so massive. The Zephyrians offered to attempt a gravity deflection using their most advanced crystal resonators, but admitted their technology could not generate the forces needed to alter such a large object's trajectory. The Kalari Hive Queen provided the most sobering assessment. "Our mathematical models indicate that every proposed solution has less than a 12% probability of success. Without intervention, the Kepler system will experience total ecological collapse within 20 days. Elder Grutan of the Elder Grove spoke slowly from his section of the chamber, his ancient voice carrying centuries of accumulated wisdom. "There was a species among us that possessed the engineering expertise needed for this task. Their terraforming and asteroid management capabilities exceeded those of any other known civilization." A uncomfortable silence fell over the assembly, as every being present understood the elder's meaning. For 3 years, humanity had operated the galaxy's most successful asteroid mining operations, developing techniques that allowed them to move and process celestial bodies that other species could not even approach safely. The humans had routinely redirected asteroids for mining purposes, often working with objects nearly as large as the one now threatening Kepler. Their gravitational manipulation technology and precision engineering systems were specifically designed for exactly this type of challenge. Dr. Kriya activated her harmonic communicator and addressed the assembly with desperate urgency. The human scientist Ben Taylor developed revolutionary approaches to gravitational field manipulation during our collaboration. His techniques could theoretically deflect an object of this size with minimal energy expenditure compared to conventional methods. The humans also possess the most advanced early warning and tracking systems in known space, added a Centaurian trade representative. Their deep space monitoring networks could have detected this asteroid months earlier, providing ample time for a controlled deflection. Prime Veltar's skin shifted through several color variations as he struggled with the implications of the situation. The species he had dismissed as primitive possessed the exact capabilities needed to save billions of lives, but his own actions had driven them away from any cooperative relationship. With the galactic community, the Elder Grove Council of Matriarchs attempted to establish contact with humanity using their most ancient and respected communication protocols. Their quantum message arrays reached across the galaxy, broadcasting formal requests for assistance in the oldest diplomatic languages known to galactic civilization. The transmission reached Commander Steve Mitchell aboard the human battleship Defiance as it patrolled the outer edges of the Sol system. Mitchell stood on the bridge reading the aliens' desperate plea for help. Their admission that only human technology could prevent the coming disaster, their promises of renewed respect and partnership if humanity would intervene. The message contained detailed projections of the casualties that would result from the asteroid impact. 2.5 billion Kalari civilians would die in the initial strikes. The atmospheric disruption would kill another billion beings across the system within weeks. The long-term ecological damage would render 3 worlds uninhabitable for centuries. Mitchell forwarded the transmission to Ambassador Jake Morrison, now operating from humanity's new diplomatic headquarters on the hidden world of Olympus Prime. The facility rivaled anything that existed in council space, its gleaming towers housing the administrative centers of humanity's expanding interstellar civilization. Jake studied the alien message for exactly 17 minutes, reviewing the casualty projections and environmental impact assessments with methodical thoroughness. He consulted with Admiral Lisa Carter regarding fleet readiness, with Ben Taylor about the technical requirements for asteroid deflection, and with Amy Hudson concerning the political implications of any human response. His decision came without hesitation or debate. Within 4 hours, 300 human ships materialized in the Kepler system without any advance warning. The alien monitoring stations had detected no approaching vessels, no energy signatures that would indicate an incoming fleet, no gravitational disturbances that typically accompanied large ship formations. Traveling at faster than light speeds, the human ships simply appeared as if they had always been present in the system. Admiral Carter commanded the operation from the massive dreadnought Constitution, a vessel that dwarfed anything in the alien databases. Her fleet moved with precision that astonished the watching alien observers, each ship taking a specific position around the incoming asteroid with mathematical exactness. The deflection operation began immediately. Human gravitational manipulation systems activated in perfect coordination, creating fields that gradually altered the asteroid's trajectory without breaking it apart or causing dangerous fragmentation. The process required delicate balance between multiple force vectors, a task that demanded both advanced technology and extraordinary skill. Ben Taylor supervised the technical aspects from his command ship Archimedes, his gravitational field calculations allowing the fleet to nudge the massive asteroid onto a safe trajectory that would carry it harmlessly past all inhabited worlds. The precision required was staggering, but human computers and engineering systems handled the complexity without apparent strain. The asteroid's path changed slowly but steadily, as the human fleet maintained their gravitational fields with unwavering stability. Alien observers watched in amazement as the catastrophic threat gradually became a minor inconvenience. The deadly rock redirected into an empty region of space where it could cause no damage. The entire operation took exactly 18 hours from start to finish. The human fleet harvested the asteroid's valuable minerals during the deflection process, efficiently extracting rare materials while simultaneously saving billions of alien lives. The operation demonstrated not just human technological superiority, but their ability to accomplish multiple objectives with elegant efficiency. Grateful alien leaders throughout the Kepler system attempted to communicate with the human fleet commanders, desperate to express their thanks and discuss the possibility of renewed diplomatic relationships. Emergency broadcasts flooded the communication frequencies as various species tried to reach their saviors. When the deflection was complete and the asteroid safely diverted, the human ships began to withdraw from the system. Admiral Carter allowed exactly one response to the flood of alien communications, a brief message broadcast on all frequencies throughout the Kepler system. Humanity remembers its obligations, even when others forget theirs. The message repeated 3 times, then ended. Within minutes, the entire human fleet had vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving the alien residents of Kepler system alone with their saved worlds and their growing understanding of what they had lost. The rescue operation accomplished more than preventing a disaster. It demonstrated to the entire galaxy that humanity possessed technological capabilities far beyond anything previously imagined. Their ships moved faster than alien sensors could track. Their coordination exceeded even hive-mind species in precision and efficiency. Their response time made the most advanced alien military forces look sluggish and disorganized. Most importantly, the operation proved that humans were capable of tremendous restraint and moral judgment. They had saved their former tormentors without demanding payment, recognition, or political concessions. They had acted purely from humanitarian motives, demonstrating the ethical superiority that made there. The message arrived at Kepler Station exactly 3 years after humanity's diplomatic delegation had walked out in silence. Ambassador Jake Morrison requested a formal session with the full Galactic Council, marking the first official communication from humanity since their withdrawal from galactic affairs. Council Prime Veltar stared at the transmission for nearly an hour, his skin cycling through every color in the hegemony emotional spectrum. The message was brief and polite, written in perfect diplomatic language that followed all established protocols. It contained no threats, no demands, and no indication of humanity's intentions beyond the simple request for a speaking session. The implications terrified him. Emergency alerts went out to every member species of the Galactic Council. For the first time in the organization's history, attendance at a council session became mandatory rather than optional. Representatives from across the galaxy canceled important meetings, postponed critical negotiations, and abandoned long-planned expeditions to ensure they would be present when humanity finally broke their silence chamber. 7 filled to capacity as beings from hundreds of worlds gathered to witness what many believed would be the most important diplomatic event in galactic history. The rescue operation at Kepler had demonstrated humanity's true capabilities, and everyone present understood that the species they had dismissed as primitive now held a position of unprecedented power in galactic affairs. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy as alien representatives discussed what humanity might demand. Some species feared territorial claims that would reshape the galactic map. Others worried about technological restrictions that could cripple their industrial capabilities. The most pessimistic voices whispered about possible military action against those responsible for humanity's earlier humiliation. Elder Groot Han took his place among the Eldergrove delegation, his ancient root system having witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. He had lived through galactic wars, species extinctions, and the collapse of entire interstellar empires. Yet he had never experienced the peculiar tension that filled the chamber, as beings waited to learn the price of their arrogance. Dr. Kriya activated her crystalline communication arrays, hoping against logic that her former research partner Ben Taylor might be among the human delegation. She had spent 2 years composing messages that would never be sent, apologies that would never be received, and explanations of how much his friendship had meant to her scientific development. The Kalari Hive Queen coordinated the thoughts of trillions of individual minds, all focused on the coming confrontation with the species that had saved their civilization at Kepler. The collective consciousness struggled to understand how they had so completely misjudged humanity's nature and capabilities. Prime Veltar took his position at the central podium, his skin locked in the neutral silver tone that indicated forced emotional control. He had practiced his opening remarks for days, crafting words that might begin to repair the damage his arrogance had caused. Every phrase had been analyzed by diplomatic experts, reviewed by historical scholars, and refined to minimize the possibility of further offense. The harmonic chime that opened council sessions resonated through the vast chamber, but instead of the usual immediate response, a profound silence fell over the assembled beings. Everyone present understood that they were about to witness either the beginning of a new era in galactic relations or the formal end of humanity's participation in interstellar civilization. The main entrance to Chamber 7 opened, with a soft whisper of atmospheric pressure equalizing. Ambassador Jake Morrison entered alone, carrying a single data pad and wearing the same formal diplomatic jacket he had worn 3 years earlier. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber as every alien representative watched his approach to the speaking platform. Morrison looked exactly as he had during his previous appearance, showing no signs of the intervening years or the tremendous changes that had occurred in human space. His expression remained calm and professional, revealing nothing of his thoughts or intentions. He activated the translation systems and began humanity's final address to the galactic community. 3 years ago, humanity came to this chamber seeking partnership. We offered our innovations, our resources, and our friendship to species we hoped to learn from and grow alongside. We were told that we were primitive, violent, and unsuitable for galactic civilization. His voice carried clearly to every corner of the vast chamber, translated into hundreds of languages and communication methods. The words were simple and direct, without diplomatic flourishes or emotional manipulation. We walked out in silence because we realized something important. We had been seeking your approval when we should have been seeking your respect. The silence that followed taught us the difference between these two concepts, and it taught you the difference as well. Morrison activated his datapad, and holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber. The images showed human achievements that had been accomplished during their 3 years of silence. Faster-than-light travel systems that operated without jump gates, terraforming projects completed in months instead of centuries, energy production methods that made alien technology obsolete, and defensive capabilities that could sterilize entire star systems. The displays revealed the true scope of human civilization, showing industrial complexes that spanned entire continents, research facilities that dwarfed anything in council space, and population centers that housed billions of beings in perfect harmony with their environments. The humans had built a technological paradise while the aliens had dismissed them as primitive. The Kepler rescue operation demonstrated our commitment to preserving life regardless of political differences. We saved your worlds not because we sought forgiveness or recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. This action reflects the core values that guide human civilization: compassion, responsibility, and the protection of innocent beings. Morrison paused, allowing the alien representatives to absorb the full implications of what they were seeing. The holographic displays continued to cycle through images of human achievements, each one representing capabilities far beyond anything the aliens had imagined possible. Humanity hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council permanently. We will maintain trade relationships with individual species that treat us as equals rather than subjects to be managed. We will continue to provide humanitarian aid when requested, as we demonstrated in the Kepler system. However, we will never again seek the approval of those who mistake restraint for weakness. The chamber erupted in protests, pleas, and desperate attempts to open negotiations. Representatives from dozens of species shouted offers of alliance, promises of respect, and guarantees of equal treatment. Council Prime Veltar rose from his seat and activated his amplification systems, his voice booming over the chaos. Ambassador Morrison, surely we can discuss terms for renewed partnership. The Council recognizes that errors were made in our previous interactions, and we are prepared to offer humanity full membership with expanded privileges and territorial rights. Morrison waited for the noise to subside before responding. His next words carried the weight of an entire species' judgment upon galactic civilization. Prime Veltar, you demonstrated your true character when you deleted our presentation and dismissed us as barely evolved primates. That moment revealed not humanity's limitations but your own. We needed 3 years to build a civilization that surpasses anything you have achieved in millennia. You needed 3 years to realize that you had made the greatest mistake in your species' history. The chamber fell into absolute silence as Morrison prepared to deliver humanity's final verdict on the galactic community. You believed that we needed you, that our success depended on your approval and guidance. The truth is far simpler and more devastating to your worldview. You needed us far more than we ever needed you. We were the source of innovation, efficiency, and moral leadership that held your stagnant civilization together. Morrison looked directly at Prime Veltar, his gaze steady and unforgiving. To those species who wish to build genuine partnerships based on mutual respect and shared values, Earth's ambassadors await your contact. Our embassy coordinates will be transmitted to any government that formally acknowledges humanity as an equal participant in galactic affairs. He paused for a final time, scanning the faces of beings who had once considered themselves his superiors. To those who continue to see us as primitives to be managed, resources to be exploited, or inferiors to be tolerated, we offer this advice: find other primitives to fill the roles we once performed. You will discover that such beings do not exist. Morrison turned and walked toward the chamber exit, retracing the path he had taken 3 years earlier. This time, dozens of alien voices called out to stop him, offering concessions, pleading for reconsideration, and promising fundamental changes in council policies. He reached the threshold of Chamber 7 and paused, turning back to address the assembled representatives one final time. The silence ends here, but our independence has just begun. Humanity wishes you success in managing the galaxy without us. We will be watching your progress with great interest. Ambassador Jake Morrison walked out of the CHOM,